Last episode, we had a really cool conversation about this card right here.
This guy, the
Yep.
green, the Amex.
Green. Welcome to another episode of Card Smarter.
And not harder.
My name is Daniel.
And I'm Stefan.
And today we're going to be talking about a couple different things.
Yes, we are.
Today we're going to talk about the differences on how people book travel. So there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. There's different slices of paradises, if you know what I'm saying.
100%.
Especially because we're going to be talking about Hawaii. But
Paradise.
Stefan and I both had a trip to Hawaii recently, and we have two complete different ways of how we booked it. There's some similar aspects, but then there's also a lot of differences. And we just want to highlight how people kind of look at their vacations and how people look at their points and essentially the value of what booking does versus the cost of the price, if you will.
100%. For sure. And I think for me, like, my journey or the steps I took is much more simplified than if, you were booking the trip on your own for you and your significant other. And, for that type of scenario, you're trying to utilize and get the most value that you can out of all the points that you have. And, all those intro bonuses, right? Those guys are coming back and you got to take advantage of that. So
Definitely. So when Stefan booked his trip, I'm probably going to have you start first.
For
'cause
sure.
This one's a fun one. But Stefan took a little bit of time to do some research, and he was able to book his trip through the travel portal.
Correct.
Me, on the other hand, I went absolutely bananas. So
absolutely bananas.
there was some portions of the trip where I booked through the travel portal. There were some portions of the trip where I booked directly with the airlines. There was a lot of research that went into it, and it's not for the faint of heart, if you will. So if I were to go back and do it again, I would probably book it your way.
And
Definitely.
just be like, you don't know what, I'm going to go through that.
Exactly.
It's easier.
But it's definitely going to highlight the cost versus the value, because when we went on our trips, we each got really cool benefits that we're going to highlight.
For sure.
And when y'all watch this video and you think about how you book your trips, hopefully this will provide some insight on the type of value add that booking through portals, the way that we did, is going to bring.
100%. So I guess heading into like my story of how I booked my trip, this was last summer. I booked a trip. It was me and 3 other people. We went to Hawaii. Hawaii is beautiful for those who have not gone. Highly recommend. But, I wanted to look at the most simple way of booking this, right? If I was going with my girlfriend, majority of the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to just book everything on my own, right? I'm going to take a look and see how I can, take those points and get more for what it's worth, and how I can save the most money, right? That's the biggest thing, is being able to, like Daniel mentioned, the value, right? It's you want to get as much as you can out of something. So heading into the way I booked it, and this is kind of a little bit different from, or not a little bit, complete 180 from how Daniel booked his trip, is for what I did was I booked everything through the travel portal, right? Flights, stay. I was looking, comparing, and contrasting what's going to be my cheapest, most affordable, as well as what's going to give me the most. And, I ended up putting everything on my card, Venture X, right? 10 times points per dollar spent. So I was like...
Booked everything through the Capital One travel portal.
Yeah, correct.
Did you also book the flights through the travel portal?
I did.
Okay, so then we got the 5x points.
I did. And you know what's funny? I'm starting to remember a little bit now, too.
Okay.
A mistake, or not a mistake, but something just to take into consideration. What did we fly? I believe we flew United, right? And, of course, I didn't realize booking the low fare flights through United,
right?
You don't get a carry-on.
No carry-on.
No carry-on. And you could, I believe you could check in a bag. You just don't get a carry-on, right?
Correct.
And I was like, wait, what? Because in the past, I've flown with my dad with United. And for him, his tier level is a little bit higher, so you get a carry-on.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, me booking there, low fare. Oh, I'm just trying to save the most money. I'm not really paying attention to all the extra details or the fine print, I guess you can say. And yeah, we ended up paying out of pocket for those carry-on luggages, which was frustrating in the moment, but you can't dwell on it too much just because, you're about to have a good trip. But anyways, booking through the Capital One portal, I had everyone send me money. I ended up taking a look at all of our options. And one of the nice benefits was, I think it was you book 2 nights, you get a free night, or one of the specific stays, they
Yeah.
covered one of the nights. So I was just like, oh yeah, we got to do that, right?
That's
So
awesome.
that was a pro out of that. I guess, through the flight side, downside of that was not paying attention, but that's obviously my fault. But I think overall, when it came to just having everything all set in stone and purchased through one thing, it made my life a little bit more easier, just because I think
Yeah.
I booked this trip a little bit, not short notice, but at the same time, when you're booking these expensive trips, you want to make sure that you plan ahead, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to save the most money. I think I booked mine like a month in advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty recent, but Capital One made it very, very easy for me. Obviously, the downside is just, the value from the points, but I didn't use points in this scenario. So
Yeah. I mean, we definitely focused on cost. We focused on making sure that things were affordable, obviously living within your means.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, for sure.
You weighed the benefits of booking directly with airlines, transferring points. We may not have had points, right? And you weighed that against all your other decisions. And I think that is something that a lot of people do when they're first like entering the points and miles game.
Yeah.
I think portals in general just make it really easy and really seamless.
Yeah,
And it kind of shows you how many points certain things are.
yeah,
Like you can pay with cash, but then right under it, it's going to say, or 10,000 miles
10,000 miles. Yeah,
or 100,000 miles.
Yep.
Right. And I think that is also low key a trap that people get into.
Amazon. They will ask you every single time when you're
Yep.
buying something from Amazon, if you have points with that card.
Yes.
It'll show how much points you have and be like, would you like to use these points? So you can toggle how much.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake on that one, and I never told Daniel this, but I bought an Android phone, I'd say about a year and a half ago. And it was like, oh, do you want to use some points? And I'm like, I'm not trying to spend $390 on this thing. Let me
Android.
use $200 worth of points. So I used like 22,000 points to buy this phone.
Oh my God.
Why? I have no idea. I'm just wanted an Android phone to play around
Ladies
with.
and gentlemen, cost versus value, right? So when you focus on cost,
Yeah.
a lot of times decisions like this are made. And in a lot of cases, I would say that could be a really good decision.
Yeah, for sure.
It depends on how many points you have and the value that you have for your points. But when it comes to the hotel, I think like that free night that you get,
100%. And breakfast being included too, right?
breakfast is included. So that means it was probably like a specific hotel that's part of Capital One's Premier Collection.
Yeah.
Where you get maybe like a statement credit, a $50 experience
Yes,
credit.
yes.
Right?
Yeah, everything's starting to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
So the free night, and then like Hawaii, it depends on what hotel you go to.
Yeah.
But that free night could be anywhere between like $300, $400, $500, right?
Yeah.
The experience credit, that could be, dinner for one night.
For sure.
The daily breakfast, like that is so much money that you are saving.
Yeah.
Like when I talk about my Hawaii experience, like I have numbers, I have receipts, and it's pretty insane, the value that you get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I booked everything in a similar fashion, but I think I pulled out literally every single stop that you can get. So on one of the previous episodes, we were talking about the Venture X that I got approved for at a very random basis.
Yeah, he was just checking.
That Venture X essentially paved the way in combination with my Platinum card for my Hawaii trip.
I see.
I also booked my trip about a month and a half ahead of time. Normally, I book like my big trips like a year in advance.
A year in advance, crazy.
A year in advance because we're trying to fly business class. But for this trip, it was just like a weekend getaway. So we went for Memorial Day weekend, trying to capitalize on, like the extra days off.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I needed to make sure, number one, I had those days off because it was not short notice, but not a year in advance.
And for us, we know with work, you got to put it in.
Can get pretty spicy. So I got the days off, and essentially I told my girlfriend, this was back in February, I was like, we are going to put everything on our American Express cards. I was like, the goal is to get about 35,000 points in the next 2.5 months, right?
Which is doable.
With two people. Two people.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Two people girlfriend travels for work,
Yeah.
gets
There you
reimbursed,
go.
right? So when we were talking offline, you were talking about how your dad does similar things. My girlfriend, hotels reimbursed, flights for work reimbursed, everything on the platinum card, right? So she was easily able to get whatever points we needed. So when it comes to the flights, the Venture X comes with that $300 travel credit. I essentially used that $300 to book the flights through the Capital One portal. So the flights
That
there,
300. Yeah. Well, so the thing
Yeah.
is, you have to.
Yeah.
You have no other choice. You have to book it through the portal
Yep.
with that $300 credit, whether it's towards hotel or
Yeah. It's a pretty cool superpower, but Chase definitely has a much better credit because you don't have to book through the portal.
yeah,
but
which is nice.
I mean, $300 is $300,
That's
right?
true. That is true.
Capital One also uses Hopper as their source of finding flights,
I see.
which is pretty cool.
Which generates like what's going to give you the best price,
Correct.
and
What
at
day,
the best
things like
time.
that.
Yeah.
So I booked it where everything was kind of like yellow. So right before it gets red, when it gets to red,
Right,
it's essentially
yeah. It's
you're
gonna be
too late.
It's gonna be pricey.
Pricey,
Very,
yeah.
Very pricey.
So for two people, I also booked the basic economy United, but I knew what I was getting into. I knew that I was not going to get a carry-on. I knew I was not going to get a check bag, but
Awkward.
I was also planning on upgrading us after the fact.
I see.
So I was going specifically for cost. Like I just want to pay the least amount of money
At the time.
at the time,
Mm.
knowing that 2.5 months I'll have the ability to potentially upgrade us later. Right?
As long as there's seats available.
Correct. Yeah. So that was what was going on in my head.
I see.
So cheapest tickets to get there. Don't care. I just need to get to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Type stuff. The tickets for two people were $349
Round trip or one way?
one way.
One way.
So
okay.
I paid
That's
$49
to Hawaii. That's
Hawaii.
Very good.
Right. Thank you, Venture X. But where the points come in
Yeah.
is American Express. You can transfer directly to Hawaiian Airlines.
Oh yes, and Hawaii at the time that you did this was Hawaiian Airlines, because they recently partnered with.
Correct. So Alaskan Airlines just purchased Hawaiian Airlines late last year.
And
so
that was during the time.
that was during the time, yeah.
Okay, I see.
So essentially my game plan was I need to get about 35 to 40,000 points to Hawaiian Airlines and then transfer that to Alaskan Airlines.
I see.
Because I believe the tickets were, I think, like 20,000 points per person.
20,000 points per person.
And that's through Alaskan Airlines.
Okay.
If you looked at the Hawaiian Airlines flights, it was ridiculous.
And that's not round trip, right?
Just one way.
20,000
per person, right? But I mean, this is kind of how it goes, where you luck out or you don't luck out.
Yeah.
I would take 20,000 points.
Yeah.
I just booked my parents the exact same flights, and they paid $17,500, so $17,500 per person. Right?
Okay.
For one way.
One
so
way.
I'll take 20K.
Yeah.
But like
I'll take.
in an episode later, I think what we can really talk about is the difference in points and how you value points.
For sure.
We can definitely talk about that.
100%.
And then just like very intro to that, if you looked at the exact same flights on Hawaiian Airlines, it was 45,000 points per person.
So you already know you're making it.
I'm killing it.
Yeah, you're killing it.
I'm crushing it.
That's already half.
Right?
More than half if you think about it.
Exactly. So we just put an ungodly amount of spend on the card, got our points for Hawaiian Airlines, transferred it to Alaskan, and then booked Hawaiian Airlines flights. So just by hitting natural spend, going to work, eating food, putting everything on the card, free tickets to Hawaii, right? So then that's my Hawaii trip.
That's the nice part. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah.
That's my Hawaii trip using the portal, using points. You kind of get to see it from every perspective.
Yeah.
Take from it what you will, as far as like learns, education, things like that. But then there's also the hotel side of things. So the hotel side of things.
That's where it gets interesting because, a lot of people, you look at these hotels and they're expensive.
Yes.
They are expensive, right? Comparing it to like an Airbnb, for example, I'm going to LA. And for 3 nights, split up between, 5 people is a little bit different. We're paying like $119 a night.
Yeah.
Cheap. but it's different than a hotel. But hotel, that's where you have all the extra things that come with it.
Yeah, and I think you and I both agree where we prioritize value
Oh, 100%.
when we
For
booked our
sure.
hotels.
100%.
So like
100%.
Airbnb is where you really start thinking about the cost, where
Yeah.
it's like I just need a room to put my stuff down
Yeah, and to sleep.
and
yeah.
to sleep,
Yeah,
right?
to brush my teeth in the morning, to take a shower, to do whatever.
Exactly. I don't need someone to make my bed. I
Yeah.
don't need free breakfast, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really situational on where you go.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true as well.
LA, I think, is one of those places where it's like, yeah, I just need a room.
Yeah, that's it. 'Cause
Hawaii, you need a resort.
Yeah.
It's unless you're going with a larger
You gotta
family.
relax.
Yeah.
You gotta relax, and I think that's a good point that you bring up, Daniel. Just because the value, right? When you're staying in these places, majority of the time, people when they travel, they want to relax. Unless you're going for work or you're going for something important, these are the times where you want to put your feet up.
Yep.
You want to enjoy some nice breakfast. You want to have your your bed made in the morning, like you mentioned too. And it's just I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the value is there. When I went to Hawaii, there's two coworkers specifically that frequent Hawaii, specifically Honolulu. Yep. So they stay at this resort almost exclusively.
I see.
One of them goes to Hawaii at least twice a year, stays at this resort. The other one, at least once per year, stays at this resort. The reason why I went here, the resort's called Alohilani Resort, which is not a Disney resort. The reason why I stayed here is because both of them were like, you're going to Hawaii, you need to stay at this resort. They absolutely take care of American Express members. If you book through the portal, they are going to take care of you.
I see.
And
So
I think
he's like, Daniel's like, through the portal?
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much that goes into it. I was planning on using the portal anyways.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Because I wanted to maximize my points.
Yeah.
American Express, sadly, it's not direct with hotels. So if I wanted the 5X, then it would have to be through American Express's travel portal.
So we got to do it, that way.
We got to do it that way. It's not 10X like Capital One, but also that was another thing I was looking at because that hotel was also on Capital One's portal.
I see.
But because I had two people that go there tell me their experience with American Express, that made the decision for me.
And being an Amex Platinum holder, you definitely get a different type of treatment depending on where you go. I feel
Yes.
like. When it comes to free room upgrades and all the extra things that these cards give you when you book through these.
So the hotel collection, the Fine Resorts Hotel Collection.
Yeah, there you go.
through
Now he's
American
giving
Express, it is the only hotel collection in existence that guarantees late checkout. I didn't need that, but
it's nice. It's nice. That is very nice. They're already anticipating.
You're gonna stay a little longer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, for sure.
But I booked through the American Express portal. I'm just gonna give not the number, but I'll give like a ballpark number.
Yeah.
We'll just say it was $1,500.
Okay.
That's not actually how much it was.
Yeah.
But it was $1,500.
Yeah.
I stayed for 3 nights,
Okay, that's nice.
and one of those nights were a free night also. So you already know how expensive Hawaii is, right?
Oh, it's so expensive. Oh my gosh.
If you compare that to directly with the resort's website, the resort's website was about $150 less, right? And that's with taxes and fees, with everything else.
That's not. It's.
And this is
Might
where
as well just go with Amex. Yeah.
this is where cost versus value comes in, right?
Yeah.
So if you focus on cost, then you're going to go directly through the hotel because you're like, I want to save that $150,
But then you see, you're just number one, you're not getting those 5 times points back,
right?
and number two, the treatment.
The treatment. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So when I got there, it was during Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
They were fully booked. So I wasn't expecting to get upgraded.
Yeah.
I did not get upgraded.
Okay.
But as soon as we got there, they were like, thank you so much for being a American Express member. Here is a list of everything that you get with your hotel credit.
Dang.
So the hotel credit was $100,
Okay.
right? So if we talk about effective cost, right?
Yeah.
So now $100 less. First night, we went up to the rooftop bar.
Yeah.
They have amazing food, amazing drinks. We spent $100. Guess what?
And you got that.
That's part of the credit.
Wow.
Right? So there's like a list of different things that they give you
Yeah.
that qualifies for that resort credit or hotel credit.
Okay.
So that's $100 that we saved. So when you went on your trip, you had $50.
Yeah,
to
I
do
know I
that,
did.
right? But still, like,
That's true. It's
cost versus value.
yeah,
Right.
100%.
Another thing was the free daily breakfast for 2 people.
Yeah, that is nice.
I didn't know how nice it was
Yeah.
until I went, and the person that came after me with their family of 4 people, they were like, "Oh, if you wanted to eat here, it's going to be $40 per person."
So you already do
Crazy.
that. That's $160.
That's $160 that they
For
had
4
to spend. Me and my girlfriend, that's $80
Free.
that I saved.
Yeah.
And we kind of figured out the game plan. We had breakfast every day at the hotel.
Oh, 100%.
So
no
we
way.
had breakfast for 4 days times 80. That's $320 that we have now saved. Right?
That's good. That's really good.
So that's incredible value.
See,
Right.
those are the things that I think Daniel's putting a good
Mm-hmm.
spotlight on is, at the time, and that's changing my perspective too, right? Where it's, you look at this and, for my age and where I'm at, I'm like, I want to save the most money. I want to make sure that I don't spend a lot of money on these trips and what I do. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're already going to be spending a lot of money on these specific things, food, it's inevitable. You're going to have to eat food, right? 2, valet parking. I know in Hawaii, when I went, the valet parking we paid, it was like, I think like $250, $300, if not more than that, right? So it's like anything to help out that price go down.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to get the platinum once it. Nah, I'm just. Well, we'll see. We'll see the platinum refresh. If
2025 roadmap, let's go. Probably not, but there's definitely other cards that can do that. I mean, you already have one of them, like the Venture X is one of those cards.
I will have to say though, I've heard the treatment from Amex Platinum users.
Oh yeah, it's
certain stays,
second to none.
It's just different. It's just different.
And that's essentially why Chase, with their reserved, that they are literally copying what American Express is doing.
Yeah, and Amex needs to fire back.
Amex,
I want to see Amex fire back like 10 times harder to give me a reason to upgrade when I don't have to. But
exactly, or upgrade offer, who knows?
Or upgrade offer. There you go.
But kind of like the kicker, and this is really what sealed the deal for me, was the resort that we were at had a partnership with their sister resort. So I guess
I see.
same owner, but different name of the resort. If you go by that resort, they have a little shop underneath where you can rent beach equipment.
Oh, snap.
We got beach equipment for free. So we were able to select 4 things. So that's a free umbrella. Like, dude, when I tell you the amount of like hustlers on the beach that are literally just like renting umbrellas,
trying to make the
$40 for the day.
No, absolutely not.
For an umbrella. Not even talking about the chairs. The chairs are like $10 for the day each.
Yeah.
So we got free umbrella.
Yeah.
2 free beach chairs, and they even had speakers. I didn't even know I needed a speaker until
they
were
speakers.
Yes. And it made me sad because I was like, I bought a Beats pill.
Yeah, I was about to say,
knowing
Daniel, I'm like, I would assume that he brought his own speaker.
Didn't even bring it.
That's
but
funny.
so we had free beach rentals for our entire trip, which is another value. I'd probably put that at like $200+.
For sure.
Right.
That's solid. I know for my stay at oh my gosh, I wish I can give the name, but I kind of forgot. But yeah, our breakfast was thankfully included for all 4 of us, which was nice. There were some rental equipment though. I will say it was a pain in the butt sometimes getting it though, because if some were taken, then that's it.
Yikes.
But
Yikes. But I mean, all in all, super solid trip. I wish I was there longer.
I know. Hawaii's beautiful.
But at the end of the day, like, the important thing that we're talking about is there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
Right? There's no such thing as a wrong answer. At the end of the day, like, if you pay cash, you pay cash. If you pay with points, you pay with points.
Yep.
If you go through the portal, you also go through the portal. But I think equally as important is you look at all 3 of those options before you make one. Or you make one choice, right?
And look at all the extra things and what's going to be worth it. I think Daniel, like I said, puts out a good point where it's just seeing all those all those things that it comes with and how much you're spending and what's I think the overall message of this episode is
Yeah.
the value of
Focus on value.
focus on value.
100% focus on value. There's times where you focus on cost, but I think more often than not, especially in the trajectory that all these credit card issuers are going,
Yeah.
I think they're really upping their game when it comes to the value of what they offer through their portals.
Yeah.
And if it's like a couple $100 extra more, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
The next episode, what we can do is we can dive a little bit deeper into maybe how we use points.
Yeah.
Or how I use points.
Yeah.
I'm already planning trips for 2027. So
Oh, snap.
yeah.
And by the way, for everyone watching, we're in 2025 right now.
2025.
This is 2 years in advance.
This is the game that I play, like, you know, but you also have to work towards it and you have to earn these points somehow.
That's true.
And at this point, like, there's not too many cards that I can get that have crazy welcome offers.
Yeah.
So how do I find a way to maybe utilize Rakuten or something
all
like
those
that?
points that are pending.
Yeah. Maybe, actually, yeah, that's what we could do. Next episode, we could talk about, like, how we normally get points.
Yeah.
Like, what our go-to systems are.
For
like
me,
that.
yeah. We're going to have to get into that next episode for sure.
Yeah. And then I'll unveil how many Rakuten points I have.
Yes, we want to see that. The viewers want to see that.
But yeah, so that's today's episode.
Of Card Smarter.
Not harder.
And,